All right, today we're going to jump into a text that really gets to the heart of faith. We're going to look at three huge ideas: what it means to truly submit, the whole concept of divine tests, and, the incredible strength you can find in patience. So let's dive right in. And right out of the gate, we get this incredibly direct and powerful moment. I mean, think about it. This isn't a negotiation or a gentle suggestion, it's a command. And the response is immediate, total, no questions asked. This one exchange with Abraham really sets the stage for everything else we're about to talk about. It establishes that submission, this full surrender to a higher will, is the absolute bedrock of faith. So here's how we're going to break this down today. First, we'll dig into the faith of Abraham, which is presented as this kind of foundational blueprint. Then we'll see how that very faith gets put to the test with a major visible change. And finally, we'll see how patience is framed as the ultimate way to show that submission in, well, all of life's ups and downs. Okay, first up, Abraham. Now, what's so interesting here is that the text doesn't present his story as the beginning of some new, exclusive club. Not at all. Instead, it frames his faith as something pure, fundamental, and really universal. It's this simple, straightforward submission to the one God, and it's meant for everyone. You see, this idea of faith is treated like a powerful legacy, something passed down. It wasn't just a personal thing for Abraham. He and Jacob made sure to pass this on to their children. Their dying wish was basically, whatever you do, make sure you die in a state of complete submission. And you see Jacob's children pick up that torch, vowing to worship the exact same one God of their ancestors. It's this continuous, unbroken chain of belief. So this is where the text directly takes on a challenge. When people come along and say, hey, to be guided, you have to become Jewish or you have to become Christian, the response is just a flat-out no. It brings everything right back to the original pure faith of Abraham, calling him upright and pointing out that he wasn't a polytheist. It positions his way as the universal root, and you can almost see later traditions as branches growing from that one single trunk. And this idea of universality, it goes even deeper. The text tells believers to say they have faith in the messages given to all the prophets. We're talking Abraham, Moses, Jesus, the whole line, without making any distinctions between them. Why? Because the unifying thread, the core idea, is that they all taught the same thing: submission to the one God. The messengers were many, but the message was one. But, and this is a huge but, there's a really crucial point made here about that legacy. It doesn't give you a free pass. This is where the idea of personal accountability comes in, and it's a game changer. Basically, the righteousness of your ancestors, that's theirs. It belongs to them. What matters for you is what you earn with your own actions and your own beliefs. It's a powerful shift away from just relying on group identity to focusing on individual responsibility. So you've got this idea of personal faith and accountability, and boom, it's immediately put to the test. And we're not talking about some abstract philosophical test. No, this is something very real, very physical, and very public, a command to completely change the direction of prayer. Now, the text itself actually anticipates the pushback. I mean, changing something as core as which way you pray? Of course that's going to cause confusion and gossip. The question, why did they turn away, perfectly frames the conflict. You can just imagine this being a moment that would shake the community's practices to its very core. And the reason for the change? Well, the text is crystal clear about it. This wasn't just some random decision. It was a deliberate test, a test of loyalty. The real question wasn't about geography. It was about faith. Were people going to follow the new command, even if it was confusing and difficult, or were they going to cling to the old ways and let their faith waver? This test was designed specifically to separate true conviction from just, going through the motions. And so the new command is given, plain and simple. The new direction, the one that would establish a unique identity for the community, was to be the sacred mosque in Mecca. From that point on, that became the new center, the new focal point for worship, and a powerful symbol of their unified submission. And then right after this huge, game-changing test, what happens? The text repeats that same principle we heard before, almost word for word: personal accountability. Now that repetition is obviously not an accident. It's driving the point home. It's this powerful reminder that when you're facing a trial, what really truly matters is your own choice, your own submission, not what anyone who came before you did or didn't do. Okay, so this brings us to our last part. The text kind of zooms out from this one major historical test to a much broader principle for all of us, that life itself is just a series of trials. And getting through them requires both patience and that same steadfast submission. So if life is full of trials, how are you supposed to handle them? The text gives a very direct answer. It says to find your strength, your comfort, in two things: patience and prayer. It's laid out like a formula for how to endure, and it comes with this incredible promise. God is with those who are patient. And we're not talking about some vague, abstract challenges here. The text gets very specific. It says believers will absolutely be tested. With what? With fear, with hunger, with loss of your money, your property, and even the loss of people you love. It basically normalizes hardship, framing it not as a punishment, but as just an expected, inevitable part of the journey of faith. But here's the thing, it's not just struggle for the sake of struggle. The text attaches a promise, a reward to getting through it. The verse ends with this command to give good news to the people who patiently endure. The hardship is real, and it's acknowledged, but the reward on the other side is guaranteed. So, it all leaves us with this final question to think about. If submission is the goal and all these hardships in life are the tests, what's the big takeaway from getting through them with patience? Maybe it's that real true faith isn't about having a life that's free from problems. Maybe it's found in the patience and the grace we show when we face the trials that are pretty much guaranteed to come our way.